Oh, we didn't do the thing.
You always forget.
I know. We need Victorine here to do that. Welcome. We're excited for you to join us. Is it the first day of fall?
Yesterday was.
Oh, well, the second day of fall. I hope it is getting crisp there. It was 90 degrees on Tuesday, and then it stormed, and now it's chilly outside. So I'm very excited. This is my first Arkansas autumn/winter, which I'm super excited not have to deal with snow. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Just a little bit. I'm okay with a little bit.
If you do, you brought it with you. That's all I'm going to say.
So anyways, welcome. We are talking about goals today. We have no clue where Victorine is. So hopefully she will get the memo and jump on. And Michelle has to bolt just real quick to do her groceries. So we are active moving people.
Yeah. The delivery just happened because I was a bozo and forgot what time the podcast was. And I got to get my ice cream in the freezer. So,
someone said our lives are fire. I'm grateful that you think that.
On fire for sure.
Burning down as we speak.
Well, let's talk about what we are doing. So, Judy, why don't you start?
So I have been watching the ranks of my book, basically. That's what I've been doing. That came out on Friday. Also, I've been recording my classes for the Writing Gals Conference, which is in a few weeks. So I have 3 of those recorded, and I just have 2 more to do. I'm trying to get those done so that then I can focus on writing, because I have a hard time concentrating on multiple things at once, and I want to be able to just immerse myself in the story once I'm there. So I'm getting these other things taken care of, and yeah, so that's what I've been doing. Taking care of kids.
Your classes?
What'd you say?
What are your classes?
So I have a self-publishing boot camp, creating ARC teams that'll work for you. I finished a book, Now What, which is basically about like the differences between traditional and indie publishing, the pros and cons of each. And then one called Breaking Down the Barriers, I think, which is like a mindset class. And then creating an interconnected series, which is something that I love. So yeah,
that's awesome. And we're also doing spotlights of the classes in the Writing Gals Facebook group. So if you haven't seen those, make sure you check them out. Get lots of interaction and love to the teachers that we're going to have. If you think our lives are fire, come to our conference, because our conference is going to be amazing.
In the positive sense, yes.
Yeah, not on fire. It's going to be fire. Your dog is on the counter.
Of course he is. I'm not paying attention to him.
So, Michelle, what are you doing?
Okay, so I am working on conference classes. I'm in the middle of my Secrets of Skintimacy class, which I'm actually enjoying my research for this class.
That almost sounds like it could be a horror one too.
No, okay, no, it's skinship, not skintimacy.
Oh, okay.
It's skinship, which is, we'll find out when you watch my class. And I uploaded a new Kindle Vella story because my my first book is doing really well. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to jump in with both feet. And so this time my story is a fantasy Vampire Academy story, and I'm writing it under a pen name. Luna Lee is my pen name that I'm going to start doing all my fantasy stuff under. So if you want to check out my craziness there, you certainly can. And then after this podcast, I think I might actually get to work on my young adult novel, which I've been promising my readers for like a year and a half now. And I promised they'd get it this summer, and it's now September. But it will be before the end of the year. So help me, because that's one of my goals, which is what we're talking about today. So I'll leave it to you, and I'm going to go get my ice cream.
Okay. Well, I have been doing everything possible now that I'm all alone. You get some one-on-one time with me. So my family and I are moving again. So we have been filled with looking at houses and talking to contractors and all that stuff. We're moving closer to town while keeping our current house because my husband wants to try his hand at Airbnb. So then I'm feeling super pressure because I'm like, I'm going to have 2 mortgages. I don't know how I'm going to do that. So lots of stuff going on. I've had lots of opportunities. I've been talking to my agent about pitching a book trad, but I have to have time to write it. And I'm trying to not get really behind on pre-orders that I currently have. I am almost done with my next Rules of Love series book, which I'm really excited about. I'm actually putting it up on Kindle Vella first because you can put it on Kindle Vella and then publish after 30 days of the last episode publishing. You can then put your book on Kindle Unlimited on Amazon. So I have pre-orders for it. So I'm just doing this to see, maybe I'll grow my Kindle Vella group. I've been reached out to by another serial group. That sounds bad. Serialized novel company that is interested in some of my books. So I'm doing a lot of things, contemplating, existential crises. Should I be completely wide? Should I be in KU? I think I'm going to pull my books and go wide. I'm going to separate them into pen names. So I'll have a contemporary adult romance pen name, a YA pen name. My Anne Marie Meyer will stay for my women's fiction. And then I already have my paranormal romance pen name. So, but there will all be some... yes, and selling cereal. So
breakfast magic spoon cereal.
They will be all form of Anne Marie. So one will be Anne Meyer, the other one will be Marie Meyer. So I'm not going to be super separate, but I think a huge strategy and a lot of people who go wide is BookBub. And if you have separate pen names, then you can have multiple opportunities to get BookBubs on different series and books for different pen names. So I'm now trying to think goal-wise, less spend, more money, and how am I going to get there? Because I do have quite a bit of books, and I'm tired of writing so much and so frequently, and always just exhausted.
Nice to breathe a little bit.
Yes, but I also still want to make money, especially now that hopefully if the Airbnb works, that will pay for itself. But if not, until we can sell the house, there's a lot going on in my life. So I am just now starting to get up at 5 a.m. and get my writing done. I find that's the best time for me to write. I can get my 2,000 words written in the morning, and then I don't have to think about it or guilt myself or feel bad, or, I could do other stuff all day long for hours and hours and hours and hours, tweaking covers, answering emails, all that stuff. But if I don't write, I feel like a slob. I don't, and I hate that. And I don't know why.
It's the same for me.
But it's just we wrap ourselves around, you need to get words, you need to get words, you need to get words. But I also have 4 pre-orders set for the middle of November. So I'm just I don't want future Amy to hate past Amy. So I need to stay on top of my life in order to do that. The good news is it's going to be my rules book, which is almost done. I am in the mending them, putting them back together moment. So hopefully by tomorrow, the book will be done. And then it's my last two Magnolia books, which I'm hoping to finish right after each other. Because one of them is a Christmas and I want to get that. And then I have to think of Christmas and I got to start buying promotions. And on top of all of that, I have to do conference classes.
At least you don't have to do as many as I do.
Yes, Michelle likes to do a lot of conference classes.
She has 7 of them.
One of my conference classes is going to be how not to drive yourself insane, the anti-Amy way. That will be, you will just do everything not that I'm doing. But you know what? I have a great husband, a support system, and I have anxiety. So it will wake me up in the middle of the night and I will be forcing myself to do work, which is a positive and a negative together. So
yeah.
Today we're talking about goals. I guess me and Julia are talking about goals. Michelle is coming. What do you think? How did you do last year for your goals? We're not going to do a huge formal goals thing. What did you do last year? How did you fulfill your goals last year? Maybe overview, give people a quick snippet of what your goals were last year.
I should have found my goals sheet. Let me look in my bullet journal and see what I wrote.
All right. What about you, Michelle? Do you remember what your goals were?
Well, I was going to try to finish off all of my series and basically do a lot of prep work for the coming year, so that for 2022. So 2021 is kind of a get my crap in order year.
Yeah, I think we all kind of came off of the COVID 2020 and
Yeah.
really getting kicked in the pants because of what happened last year. So
I think that if I had a financial goal, I don't know if I actually said it in that
I
original
don't think you
podcast.
set financial goals because I think we all became like financial goals are really hard to set and to fulfill.
Yeah.
I'm
but
reading through mine, and I did. So
You set one?
yeah.
partway through the year, I decided that if I was like, my financial goal was to try and have a $5,000 a month average profit as like a foundation to build on. And I was right on target with that average. This month, it's really maybe close to slipping a little bit under that average, but Kindle Vella is kind of saving the day on that. But I'm going to continue with that goal through the end of the year. And I'll talk about that later, but I mostly fulfilled that goal. And I still have 2 books to get out this year to really finish off the series that I wanted to do. And part of the reason I want to finish those series, not only so it'll kind of clear my plate, but also so I can put my box sets out, because being able to promo box sets has proven to be one of the biggest money makers for me. Victorine says she's coming, guys.
Yay!
So so those are my goals. So I feel like even though I've struggled a lot this year, I have mostly maintained the way I wanted. And I guess that's the benefit of like setting low expectations for yourself. But I felt like last year is kind of the year that I needed to have low expectations, because
2020 or this year?
for 2021, if we were talking about last year's goals, because I was just really struggling with having so many people in my house all the time and being burned out with life. Even though I think I'm mostly recovering from my writing burnout, life burnout has become a very, very serious problem for me. And finally, starting like last week, all my kids are in school and my husband is back to work at the office most of the time. And so I'm having, 6 hours a day just by myself in my house of working hours again. And it is amazing what a difference that is making for me.
Yeah. That's
Didn't hope to get bronchitis this week, but yeah.
What about you, Judy? What were your goals?
okay.
You have
So
written.
I still have a few months to make them, so we'll see how it goes. Okay. So I wrote that I wanted to net 6 figures this year. We will see how the next few months go if I make it there. It could happen. It might not. We will find out. I just published my 2nd book of the year last week. So
How many books did you get done last year?
I had 2 novels and a novella. So I might be on a similar track. I don't know. It depends on how fast I write my next book. But yeah. The books I wrote this year, though, are longer. So that also adds to that. Okay. I wanted to publish 3 books in 2021. So I got 2. And I got a few months. We'll see how that goes. I wanted to get my newsletter subscribers up to a couple thousand more than I currently have. So find out how that goes. I also wanted to increase my social media followers, and they have been increasing a little bit.
And you like hit it out of the park with TikTok. So
yeah, I got a good number there. So I don't know if they're all book people, but I got some people. And then I wanted to be a better student of my author heroes, and I have been doing a lot of studying of them. So that's, I guess I've been a okay student. Don't quite have all the success that they have quite yet, but I may get it someday because I like studying them. Really, really big ones. And then I wanted to read more fiction books. I wanted to do like 1 a week, and I have done pretty good on that. Mostly listening, because that's the only way I can really have time to do that. But and then I wanted to consider taking my Ridgewater High series wide, and I'm still considering that. So we will see. So
well, I know Kelsey Stetling is taking some of her books wide, and if I take my Rural series wide, then you should have enough.
Yeah. I like to watch everyone. So I'll see you watch you guys do it and ask how it's going, and then maybe pull the trigger on that. So I'm also trying to figure out if I need new covers for that before I do something like that, just to see if I could hit the market a little better. So
Perfect. And I don't remember mine, but I know one was to extend my series, which I am doing. So check that off the list. When you put up your pre-orders and you force yourself to do it, then you do it. Then you hit a goal. I think I didn't set a number for income. I just wanted to increase, and I wanted to increase my income and not necessarily increase my spend. And I am still working on that ratio, but I think I hit last month what I made all year last year total last month, what I made all year last year. So that was positive.
Yeah, that's nice.
I am a little worried though, because I'm like, at what point is that going to not happen? But I'm not going to think like that. I'm just going to keep saying, put out new books, focus on your backlist. I think another one of mine might have been backlist. I think also increasing my followers, increasing my newsletter. I've learned ManyChat. I now have a text message list. I now have a messenger list. And I think that was all my goals. I'm going to have to go back. We'll do another goals one at the end of the year. A more formal one. This is more like, what were our goals? What did we kind of, what are we going to do for the rest of the year, and how to set realistic goals as you're coming into, we're coming into Q4 and coming into, is it Q4 now or is Q4 October?
October.
Okay. Because really at the end of October is the end of our fiscal year. So, you have November and December to say, okay, what do I want fiscally for next year? And how can I make November and December really work? So this is kind of just an informal goals. What about you, Victorine? Do you remember what your goals were for last year?
Not be late to my writing girls thing.
She's not here. We don't know where she is. So.
I'm so sorry. I was working on something and just totally got caught up in it and didn't even look at the clock. So
yeah, but if you're going to be late, you have to tell us what you were working on. You can't just say something.
So I'm working on a graphic design thing that I was supposed to get done like a couple months ago. So it's really old. So somebody's cover design. So it's cool. It's just
somebody's got a cover coming.
Yes, sorry. So anyway, so I think one of my goals from last year was to lessen my stress, to try and not do too much. I don't know if I did that so good.
we were telling Victorine, you need to practice saying no.
I know. That's what I really need to do.
And then she has kids that want to get married and then grandbabies. She can't control that
other stuff. So yeah, I think that's another one of my goals I'll carry over.
Victorine's really living the life, guys. Though how many writing retreats she's been on, how many conferences she's gone to.
They have an RV. They drive around.
I have not been home since June. I've just been gone. So now that it's getting cooler and we're not doing the camping thing all the time, I'll be able to do more actual writing and stuff like that.
But you're living life. That's what we all want to do. So
it's super fun. It is.
Well, okay. Let's talk about how to set realistic goals then. So what have you learned in the past? Because we've done goals videos in the last couple of years. What have you learned that you are successful at, and what have you failed at? Like more in the broad sense, like not specifically like I failed at this and I succeeded at that, but like goals that asked me to do this, I failed at, but goals that asked me to do this, I succeeded at. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think if I make my goal specific but realistic to my life, then I seem to succeed much better. But if I make my goal kind of pie in the sky, I want to get, this many books done, or I want to make this much money by the end of the year, it seems like those goals just kind of stress me out more. So when I look at my calendar and I say, okay, I'm going to be home for the next 2 weeks, let's try and get 1,000 words done every day for the next 2 weeks. That seems to be something specific, something I can do because of my calendar, and I can succeed at that. If I'm just like, okay, I want to do all this stuff, and don't make it super specific or realistic, then I have trouble.
Yeah, like I'm better at accomplishing the goals that I have control, like a lot of control over. The ones that rely on a bunch of other factors, I can make the goal, but I can't always make it happen, and then I get frustrated. So yeah, having just the ones that I can I can write 5 days a week, or I can, write for an hour a day or whatever, things that are just smaller goals that are in my control a little more, then I'm able to do that. And then I get closer to the big goals.
So I've learned for me, because being, a mom with like a very unpredictable schedule, which so many of you can relate to, like you never know when your kids are going to get sick or something's going to go crazy in your life. Because I put the pro in procrastinator as part of my ADHD fabulousness. And my editor is watching this and she knows all about that. And because I have learned that I really thrive on novelty and being excited about things, that I need to not make my goals have like really specific deadlines, and I need to not make them so big that I feel overwhelmed by them or like it's too hard. But people with ADHD also perform really well when they're motivated by urgency. So deadlines, in a sense, don't work for me. Like if I say I need to have this book published on this date, I will not do it. However, if I say I need to publish this book this year, if I have a really good reason for that, then I'm more likely to do it. And this is what I've learned my good reasons are. My good reasons that really drive me are mostly that my family really needs something, right? That I need my money to be supporting my family in some way. Because if it's just purely for me and my benefit, then it's easy for me to brush that aside. So what first got me really motivated to learn to write to market, to start putting books out more quickly, and to start making specific financial goals, and I've talked about this in a few posts and podcasts, is that when my youngest daughter was starting school, I knew that in order for me to stay home and be a writer, instead of going out and getting a job, I needed to be making $1,000 a month. And that was a very specific goal for a very specific and important reason to me and my family. And I was able to accomplish that for that reason. So now when I look at my goals, I think, what does my family need right now that's really important to me? So as I'm looking at making my goals, I've talked a lot about making doing my reset right now. One of my major goals is not a financial one or a productivity one. It's more about making writing fit into the lifestyle that I want to have, which is me being able to take a week off or 2 weeks off if I need it. Like right now, I am so excited because I'm basically taking December off as far as like my publishing schedule, because I want to enjoy Christmas for the first time in like 6 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of that goal is important to me and my family. I can see that my kids and my husband definitely want more of me in their lives. But as a financial goal, I really want to pay off my family's credit cards, and we're really getting close, like very, very close. And so my financial goal right now for the rest of this year is, and it has been for like, I think most of the year, is to get our credit cards paid off, right? Because of obviously the financial freedom that will bring my family. So it's very valuable to me and it's worth working towards. And so that is definitely driving my current financial goal of maintaining $5,000 a month, because after you put back for taxes and after, you pay for vacations or cars breaking down or like whatever comes up, I need to have a certain amount that I can put towards that credit card payment. So that is my specific way of determining what my goals need to be. And that seems to work best.
And somebody here said, I've heard authors say that systems are better than goals. What do you think of establishing a system and not worrying about goals? And I think that is good. I like the idea of having a system. And I think when we talk about having realistic goals, like goals you can control and goals you can't control, I think that's where maybe you would differentiate, because the system would be a set of goals that you've put together. Because if your goal is to say, I want to publish a book, well, you can control publishing a book, right? Because you write the words, you get the editor, and that would be a system of goals, I would think, that you put together to fulfill a goal you have control over. I still don't think it's bad to say, I want my goal is to have this book hit 100 in the store, right? Like that's not a bad thing. And that's a good that's a good goal to have, but you also have to have steps, a system in place to help you. And then if you don't hit that goal, don't get angry at yourself. Learn what you learned, and then you try it again. I'm okay with setting financial rank goals, book sale goals, those kinds of things. Because, book sales equals income equals followers equals better sales in future books. So growth is important. And I am very much part of setting those kinds of goals. But I also say that is a separate goal to my goal of, I want to get up and write 2,000 words in the morning before I do anything else. I don't even get dressed. I'm in my pajamas, I brush my teeth, I go to the bathroom, and I head up to my office and I just write my words, because if I don't get them done in the morning, they don't happen at all. And I will do everything else during the day, and writing will not happen. But I know, especially as I'm coming towards my deadlines for my pre-orders, I'm like, okay, I don't have time to not do them. And so my goal is to hit these deadlines. And in order to do that, what sort of system do I need to put into place so that I can fulfill that goal at that point when I need to have them? Mm-hmm. So I think for me that, you having two separate ideas of goals is important, either ones you can control and ones you can't, or systems and then goals.
I think the important thing, and especially it's something you gain through experience, is knowing yourself and knowing what makes you thrive. Mm-hmm. For me, I understand the concept of setting up systems, but I also know that because of my ADHD, I fail at consistency. I fail at doing repetitive tasks over and over again.
Well, see here though, I'm just going to tell you this right now. I've been your friend. But when you set those goals to write those YA books, you hit them. But I think you don't plan for the burnout that comes. It wears you out. So you can do them, but then the result was detrimental to
exactly you. And that's part of the experience in getting to know yourself, because people with ADHD are definitely overachievers and outperformers when they are appropriately motivated. Everybody who knows me knows that I will accomplish what I set out to do. I will finish the book. I will, turn in the conference class that I need to turn in.
She will come to the podcast on time.
I will get but it will be last moment, and it will be a monumental effort for me. And I will suffer consequences because I put it out to the very, very last minute, or because I made something too difficult. So I can do them. But that's part of my lifestyle goal, is that I'm trying to figure out how I can better manage my writing life so that I don't go through all of those negative consequences I get because of my last minute procrastination crazy pushes,
or the fact that you're ignoring everything else to do fulfill this goal, right. And then you are having to pick up the pieces afterwards.
There have been deadlines that I have spent 3 to 4 days at my desk writing 8,000 to 9,000 words a day while my house falls apart. And then I get it turned in, but then I will spend weeks exhausted in a messy house that I'm struggling to clean up. My kids really struggling because I haven't given them the time and attention that they needed. And my husband feeling like writing is all I care about. So there's consequences. I make them happen if I need to, but I don't like those negative consequences. So the systems that I'm trying to build in my life are systems that I know are healthy for me, that work for me because of the experience that I have. And unfortunately, that is the only thing any of us can have. So we can talk. That's why we're all sharing all of our experiences. There's 4 of us here. So you'll be able to pick up a lot of different ideas. And the only way you'll find what works for you is to be able to say, hey, I tried this, it didn't work. I learned about this and I like it. And then we all start implementing the procedures, the systems, and the goal making that works for us.
Well, and I think too, if you're a person that has that struggles with setting monetary goals or number goals because you hold yourself so much and the value that you are as a person to that number.
Yes.
And if you don't hit it and it sends you into a spiral and you can't write for weeks, then I would suggest possibly figuring out a way to build a system for that goal. So it's where you can feel well, I did this and I did this and I did this. I got 10 newsletter swaps and I did 5 social media pushes and I did 7 TikToks, I did everything I could do. Then the rest of it's left up to the Amazon gods. And that's really what this is. A lot of it I can look back and I can see, you know, as much as I want to tell you that it was me and I'm a genius, it's really Amazon. Because if I am a good writer and I write good books, and I have written subsequent books, but those books haven't done as well. There's something about that moment in time when I released that book at that moment that hit the market. And that's just a magic you can't recreate.
Yeah.
So,
and it's hard when you see other authors getting that magic and you try to do what they're doing, it just doesn't. And it was just the magic that made it happen for them, not necessarily what they were doing.
Yes. Yeah. So it's very, goals can be a very difficult decision. So Laura asks, what's our opinion on stretch goals?
I like them.
I love stretch
Yeah.
goals.
I think they're always good to have. And I think that's part of like the whole reset idea. And like we've talked about, somebody help me with names. You know how I'm with names. The one lady, Sarah Cannon. Yeah. Her whole system is designed around the idea of being able to picture like your life and how you want it to be, and then walking backwards from that to figure out the steps that you need to take to get to that ultimate goal, right? The big picture goal. And that's kind of what a stretch goal is. So you start out with the goals that you know you can achieve and that you're motivated to do and that are possible, that they're in your reach. The stretch goals stretch between the next level and that end goal, right? And if you have the capacity and the ability and the time because you've achieved that nearest goal to go on to the next one, then of course do that. What I found for myself is that if I only set like this very, very near goal, when I get there, sometimes I just keep like wandering around lost, like, okay, what do I do now? And you just kind of get into a rut and you're not moving forward because you're doing the things you needed to do to get to that first goal. But if you don't have another goal after that, then you kind of like lose your momentum and lose your way. So I think it's really, really good. So like I have a goal right now of making a $5,000 a month foundation profit, right? And after that, I want to make 10,000. Like I know in the back of my mind, that's my next level that I want to get to. But I'm not focusing on it right now. It's there so that when I need it, I'm ready to start heading towards it.
Well, and I think that's why it's so important, this idea of systems versus goals. I mean, I was reading in Elena's group where she made a post, and if you haven't joined India Inspiration with Elena or something like that, and she posted, somebody asked her, because she had a $250,000 month and she was talking about it. And then in this next post, she was like, well, someone asked me, what's your next goal? And she had to sit there and go,
where do you go after that?
I don't know. But I think if you have these systems in place, I want to have 10 newsletter swaps. I want to do 5 Facebook ads. I want to do 1 Amazon ad. When you have these systems, that's where your stretch goals come into place, because you can say, well, if I can hit this number with this amount of system put into place, well, let's say my next launch, I want to get even higher in the store. So where can I stretch myself at that moment too? And I think even, let's say not launch or money making, I was reading Kristen Iden. She had made a comment, and I don't remember where it was, but someone was asking, like, how do you have a lot of, I think it was in one of ours about having time with parenting. Maybe it was the one by Bonnie Paulson. And she talked about how she writes at night, like her best writing time is at night once her kids are in bed. And she's like, that was a stretch goal for her because, she's giving up sleep. She's giving up the TV watching time because to her business time is important. So for us, a stretch goal could be, I'm not getting enough words. I need to get 500 extra words, but I get my 2,000 in the morning. And so now I'm going to make a stretch goal of at 1 o'clock. I shut everything down and I write for a half an hour and I hit that 500 word goal. So stretch goals can be monetary. It can be writing. It can be, I think for me, a stretch goal would be not working on the weekends because I work every single day and I work all day long. And so one of my stretch goals is going to be putting systems into place so that I can take days off and I can walk away and I don't have to study or stare at or do things like that. So anything that you feel is could be better than what you're doing right now, that's how you implement, I think, the stretch goals and changing those systems.
I think that having sort of an inspiration board or a picture behind your goal is really important. So you might have, like, for now, like if I mentioned that my stretch goal is $10,000 in profit a month as a like my foundation starting point. Why do I want to get there? Is it just because it sounds like a good number and it'd be great to make, you know, that kind of money as my baseline? That doesn't do anything for me. That doesn't touch my heart. That doesn't get me excited. That doesn't, you know, make everything sound awesome. Like, yes, I should get up at 5 o'clock every morning and write because I want to make $10,000 a month. No, what does that $10,000 represent? For me, that $10,000 represents a goal that I have with my husband, which is he's getting closer to the stage in his career where he's getting kind of burned out, right? And we have talked many times about how would it change our lives if he was able to retire early and start being my business partner, and he could take over a lot of the business tasks that I want. So that making that $10,000 a month as my baseline foundation income would allow for him to retire early and for him to be able to be my business partner.
And so he likes the numbers, right? So you can get that marketing side right there.
I know. He does spreadsheets all day long and he's organized. He is my calendar. Like, I never know what's going on unless he sends me a text. Hey, you got to go pick up the kids for the doctor's appointment. Oh, right. Even though he told me this morning, you know, so like there's many ways that he compliments me as a person. So I have a very specific reason why I want to get to that goal. All I have to do is picture it. Right. And then I get excited for it and it's meaningful. It matters. And, you know, that goal should be, you know, something that you can picture and be excited about. It might be a vacation home. It might be paying for your kids' braces. It might be getting to quit your job. It might be being able to have a cleaning lady, like
paying off your house,
paying off your car, buying a car. You know, picture something solid that you will be able to enjoy by reaching that goal. And that's what makes goals effective, not just random numbers that don't mean anything. It's having something to back them up that really makes a difference.
And it
I
can
need to
give
start
you the
looking at my vision board
motivation.
again.
It can give you the motivation that you need to do the daily grind thing, right? Because there are all these lofty goals we can have, but if you don't put the work in, then you're never going to reach those big goals. So
yeah,
having that vision, having that specific thing that you really, really want can motivate you to do the daily work.
Right.
So here's my question for you ladies. How do you set goals with at the same time of having concerns, let's say, about the future? Like we didn't see it 2020 coming, and now having gone through it, you know, is this going to continue being a problem in 2022? What about the economy? Like I feel that fear of being like, well, are people still going to be reading tomorrow? You know, is Amazon going to go under? Like, how do you square those two things?
Yeah,
I try to set aside those things I can't control, like you guys are saying. I can't control whether the economy goes down or up or whatever. I can't control whether or not Amazon decides to do something different. But I can control my own anxieties a little bit by just setting that aside and not worrying about that. Because if I let that take up space in my head, then that affects how I am able to produce and write. And
yeah, I just try not to think about it too much and just focus on what is actually my reality, but also, you know, try to be smart and have like money saved and try to have things set up so that you are maybe hopefully able to weather those storms, but also just focus on what is happening right now, because you never really know what the next Tetris piece is going to come out of in your life. So
I think that keeping in mind how volatile our lives are really should be a big focus when we're setting our goals. Just like I talked about how I want to pay off my family's credit card by the end of this year, right? It might be, you know, pay off your house. It might be to have a certain amount in your savings account to cover like job loss or economy issues or anything like that. Those are all very good reasons to put specific financial goals in place. And I definitely think for me, as far as like an artistic side or a creative side, me being able to continue writing, I just always go back to stories of people hiding books in concentration camps, or like the way people used to read episodic fiction in newspapers that they would like get off of their fish at the grocery store kind of thing back in the like Depression era. Like people will always want stories.
Mhm.
As a human race, it's always existed and it always will. It doesn't matter what kind of trials we're going through. In fact, I would say the greater the trials that we face as a human race, the more we're going to want story to get us through it. And so for me, I know that there will always be an audience. How I will get my stories to that audience and whether or not I'm able to make money from that is a different issue. But I know that I will continue to create and write stories my whole life because they will always be needed. But by setting certain financial goals in place for me, I'm hopefully going to arrive at a place where if things go crazy financially, I'm still able to take care of my family and provide for them. And then the way I earn money through my writing won't be as, scary of a prospect to worry about.
And I think, I know I posed the question, but now that I'm sitting here, I think the other thing is to not discredit other venues to make money. So, like if we put all of your eggs in one basket, you're really setting yourself up for a possible failure in the future. I mean, I knew people who did absolutely nothing wrong and Amazon came over and shut their account down saying that they had done something against violations. She later got her account back, but that was detrimental to her in that moment. So, like for me, it's, I'm blessed because I found an agent because I got reached out to by a interactive novel place. And so now I have somebody that I can come to and say, I have a book idea. What do you think about this? And they can say, oh yeah, write it up. And then if that doesn't work, I can always self-publish it. And then I can publish on Nook and I can publish on Kobo and, breaking into some other translations or doing audiobooks. I know people who make way more off of audiobooks than they do ebooks. There's just, the serialized thing, the Kindle Vella. A lot of authors jumped ship with Kindle Vella because Amazon was kind of rocky in the beginning and how it set itself up. But to me, setting aside some goal or mind focus and goals to say, okay, next year, what is one other avenue or revenue stream I'm going to focus on? It could even just be building your newsletter, because if you lose your Facebook account, you can't advertise on Facebook. But if you build your newsletter list, then you have a base of readers who are desperate for your stories that can help boost you up enough to get into Amazon algorithm. So I think purposely trying to find different things. And I think one of the, and we've already talked about this, but one of the best things I've always said is I always give things a try. I always try something. And now I see, I base a lot of my income off of what I see on my KDP dashboard, but I always end up making $3,000 to $4,000 more because I have all these other revenue streams that I don't really count, but I have bringing money into me. I recently took all my audiobooks and went to Findaway, and making money off of Findaway. And, and now I just have multiple places where I'm like, well, I could grow my income here. And how do I do that? And do I have the focus there? But this was really just like, put it over there. It'll do what it does. And I'll just make the money that comes in and be happy. But if I was to lose my Amazon account, I do have some, I have a name on Nook now and all these other platforms that I could put my focus on. So I think, like Michelle said, stories are evergreen and finding different ways. But even if it comes down to learning a skill, like if you learn Facebook ads, you could go run Facebook ads for your, local dealership. Like these are talents and abilities that you're learning that you can then take out into the non-book world, and really market yourself with. So, yeah. But trust me, I have this fear, especially with, trying this Airbnb and all this other stuff. I'm like, my expenses are going to get higher, and how am I setting myself up so that if something was to collapse or we were to have another 2020, how have I protected myself to that point?
I think if you want career and financial security as an author, you have to change with the time. So be flexible and be willing to change and move with the market. And the other part is when you start making money, and this is like, I would hammer this home to anybody. When you start making especially significant money, It is not the time to go crazy spending and buying everything in the world, buying big expensive houses and fancy cars and all these other things based on that current income. Because we all know that your income is going to be a roller coaster ride. It's going to go up and it's going to go down. And you might get really, really high and then you might get really, really low. And if you get yourself into a position where you are contractually obligated to certain things that require the high income, when you come back down, then that is something that causes a lot of authors that have been successful to go through bankruptcy, to have tax issues, have all kinds of financial stresses. What you really have to focus on as you start to make money is to be wise with it, and to not only live within your means, but to live with that idea that the high that you get to is not always going to be where you're at. It's called a peak for a reason. It's not a plateau. Like, you know,
or you have like you, where you have a track record of, I make a base of this and I will live my life off of this base. And then if I make more, then that's great.
it's great.
I make less.
Right.
I was telling Michelle this today when I was over here. They watched LuLaRoe. Any of you guys watched the LuLaRoe?
LuLaRich. Yep, I watched that.
Yeah, where they're all like, I was making 6 figures a month and we bought a big house and we got all this stuff and I bought purses and I bought cars and now it's all getting repossessed because LuLaRoe changed things and everything went, to crap. So be very, very careful when you do have those peaks. And set goals that are things that you can control, and then live your lifestyle off the things that are proven themselves over a period. Obviously not everything is for sure, but that have proven themselves over a period of time where you feel comfortable enough to.
Yeah. That's not to say don't reward yourself. Don't do something cool, or don't achieve like a goal that you really wanted. One of my big things that I spend my author income on is taking my family on vacations.
I bought a massage chair.
She bought a massage chair.
So excited!
I like
coming.
I like to buy salamis for myself when I finish a book. But what I'm saying is, don't go into enormous debt based on like a few months of really high income.
Well, Victorine, you said you've been around at this the longest, or Michelle has, but
Victorine's been
less.
successful longer.
But you said you saw that too in the beginning with people making tons of money, and now they're all.
Yeah, it definitely goes up and down. So it's not something you can rely on steadily, but you do want to make good, wise decisions and invest in your business by learning ads and things like that. And the people who have done that have stayed around much longer and are more consistent with their sales than the people who got on a big high because of some book hit the tops of the charts, and then they spent all their money on whatever.
And I think that's where we talk about being flexible. Maybe next year setting a goal will be, I will learn a social media platform. Because I hear that's probably the biggest one I hear the most is, I don't want to go on social media. I don't want to do these things. But I have seen, Colleen Hoover just had 4 books or 3 books hit the USA Today bestseller list this week because of Book Talk on TikTok.
And she's been on the New York Times bestseller list this consistently for the last few months.
Yeah. So don't discredit some of these platforms. Not that I'm saying if TikTok's not for you, there are multiple other platforms. Twitter is not for me. I am closed on my accounts. I will not be on Twitter. But some people can sell books on Twitter. So pick a platform and make a goal. That would be a stretch goal. Definitely.
Well, and I think things like that with TikTok especially is it's more about what book talkers are doing rather than what the authors themselves are doing.
Yeah.
I don't think Colleen Hoover got the success on TikTok because she was on the platform making videos. It's because other people are talking about her
So
books.
writing a good book, getting visibility outside of book talk, but
bribing people to talk about your book, maybe.
Bribing people.
I think we all need to do what we can do to be where readers are and to have a place where we can interact with them.
But I did have one go viral. Judy's had one go viral. So there is ability to make money off of TikTok.
Yes.
I'm still yet to figure out Instagram, but Instagram and I have an interesting relationship. So maybe
I broke up with Instagram a while back.
You're toxic for me. But Facebook still works, and you can do TikTok. You can do, and I'm sure there's a more and more social media platforms are going to jump in and things like that. So
building your platform and finding a way to communicate with your readers is the ideal goal, and everybody just has to figure out what works best for them.
Yeah.
Because I see people killing it on all of them.
Mhm.
So.
And just finding what's comfortable for you. Well, perfect. I think this is great. Goals thing. We'll definitely do one probably come December where we really dive into what our goals are for next year.
Mhm.
I have no idea what our topic will be about next week, so stay tuned. It'll be a mystery. You'll have to stick around. If you haven't signed up for our conference, go to our Facebook page or Facebook group. It's one of the pinned posts. It's going to be amazing, and we already have 40 videos for you to access early. So the sooner you get it in, the
Is it
more
20?
time.
20.
20.
Don't
But-
oversell us.
But if you watch it at 0.5, it'll feel like 40 because it'll be super slow. 20. We have 20. We've got great topics on mindset, on craft, on marketing. We got a lot of really great people coming. So if you haven't signed up, make sure you do so you don't get FOMO and miss out.
We had so many people last year during the conference or right after it. Please, can I still register? And there is a point of no return for this, and we just don't want anybody to miss out because it was an absolute blast last year.
It was, and it will, and I promise not to be too frazzled because I'll be kind of moving and all that stuff, but we'll make it work. So, all right, we will see you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.